As digital strategist for Hillary Clinton's campaign last year, Amber Disco's job was to get out the vote for Clinton on social media. The position was high-stress and demanding. Disco and her coworkers worked 7 days a week, and Disco's job in particular left her at the mercy of Twitter trolls who blew up her DMs with harassment and threats. I was just not ready for the emotional labor of having to be excited every day when people in my DMs were telling me to kill myself, Disco, 27, tells Self. The pressure of the job coupled with the online abuse sent Disco into a spiral of anxiety and depression. She began skipping breakfast and working through lunch, forgetting to get up for a glass of water or just to take a walk. Disco admits she wasn't doing a great job taking care of herself. Things began to take a turn for the better, though, when she noticed a printed-out tweet a co-worker had pinned to her cubicle. The tweet was a simple to-do list with reminders to take her medication and drink water. Inspired, Disco set off to create her own version of the pinned tweet. She started designing a web survey people could click through to check in on themselves, asking things like, "Have you had anything to drink in the last 2 hours?" along with, "Have you showered in the last day or two?" and "Have you been going to sleep on time after the election was over?" And Disco was done wallowing on the couch, which she did for the better part of November. She snapped herself out of it and got to work. She put the finishing touches on the self-care survey so it could go live on Inauguration Day, which was when she thought people could use it most. "It was the kind of moment where I was like, if I'm going to do this, it's now," Disco said. "People need this now." Disco received an outpouring of positive feedback on the survey, with multiple people telling her how using it helped them take better care of themselves. But when she decided to turn the survey into an app called Aloe and launch a Kickstarter campaign in August so that she could build an app without venture capitalists lining her back pockets, backlash ensued. Dozens of Twitter users tweeted at Disco and the Aloe Twitter account, calling the app a scam or wondering who forgets to drink water. But Twitter trolls weren't the only ones ragging on Disco, she says. Some of her harshest critics were people whose names she recognized, people she thought were on board with self-care. "In my head, I was just like, if I need this, if one person needs it, there must be other people out there who need it too," Disco says. "I couldn't understand how the people who said they were doing fine couldn't realize there are people out there who aren't." The month Disco ran the Kickstarter campaign illuminated for her many people's enduring misconceptions about self-care. But, says Disco, it's normal for some people to need reminders to do seemingly basic things, like drinking a glass of water. Maybe it's part of an ongoing effort to look after their mental health. Or maybe they're going through a particularly stressful time, like Disco was, and neglecting themselves. Either way, the app's reminders are meant to help users be aware of their bodies and internalize self-care practices so that they become an everyday thing. Disco, who successfully raised over $50,000 for Aloe, the app will go into beta testing in October with a full launch to come in December, says some of the negative feedback she received was rooted in the commercialization of self-care, which includes everything from bath soaks to subscription boxes, and which has its pros and cons. That's part of why she's committed to keeping the app free. But Disco says much of the other outrage over Aloe points to a lingering stigma against mental health issues. I think there's this idea that people who forget to do things are lazy, she says. Or that people who practice self-care, who are trying to take steps to get better, are lazy and selfish, cuddled up in their blankets. What's more, self-care is gendered as a feminine activity, Disco says, making it vulnerable to even more scrutiny and criticism. While Disco wants to make sure people of all genders enjoy her app, she isn't necessarily trying to push against the feminine reputation of self-care. In addition to the regular reminders and check-ins, the app prompts users to pick different plant images to plant in a virtual garden. Aloe also takes advantage of the millennial pink trend, giving the app a soft, gentle feel. Disco is also toying with other add-ons for the app, like custom emoji packs for people to personalize their experiences, and a feature that lets users send each other words of encouragement throughout the day. She says it'll be up to users to figure out which parts of the app work best for them. She simply hopes it gets people thinking about how they treat themselves beyond that one night a week they do a sheet mask. People always wait until they hit rock bottom to do something about the problem, and that's because it's so hard to see that you're struggling, to admit it, and then do something about it, Disco says. My goal is just to get people to think about how they're treating themselves every day. You may also like Yogi Catherine Butagun, why self-care is so important.